Dr. S.I.F. Philomen Raj, MSc, MPhil PhD, retired Head Department of Physics, Madras Christian College, Tambaram, Chennai. He is presently serving as a guest lecturer in Loyola College, Nungambakkam, Chennai. He has a teaching experience of 35 years in Madras Christian College for UG and PG students. His field of research is nuclear physics, and he has presented about 30 papers in symposia organized by Baba Atomic Research Center, Mumbai. He has guided 50 MPhil students and about 100 MSc students in their projects. He has authored practical physics books for MSc and BSc courses. He is presently engaged in writing a book on nuclear physics for Printers Hall, India.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in physics. So let us continue with the nuclear and particle physics. So last session we have been discussing about beta decay and about helicity. Now we shall discuss about gamma decay. So we will be highlighting this area today. Gamma decay, what is gamma decay, and then what is the origin of gamma decay, and what are the selection rules for gamma decay, and what do you mean by pair production. And in that pair production we will be talking about hadron collision also, and about nuclear isomerism. So we shall go one by one. So gamma decay. So gamma decay is an electromagnetic radiation. We have just written as EM radiation. It is an electromagnetic radiation. Therefore it will not be affected by electric field, magnetic field. Alpha particle is positively charged, and therefore it will be affected by electric and magnetic fields, and so also beta decay, beta particles. But gamma is an electromagnetic radiation like light waves, therefore it will not be affected by electric and magnetic radiation. So basically it is a photon, as we said, it is a light particle, quantum of light. So gamma is a photon, and it has got spin 1. So the boson is a spin 1 particle. Why do you call boson? Because it will obey Bose-Einstein statistics. If it is a spin-off particle, they will be obeying Fermi-Dirac statistics. Now this is a spin 1 particle, so it will be obeying Bose-Einstein statistics, and it is conventionally called as a boson. So photon is a boson, and because it is a light particle, quantum of light, it moves with velocity of light. So the velocity will be c, namely 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, and here energy will be in MeV. So here all are light rays, even radio waves are electromagnetic radiation, and then we have got a microwave, and then infrared, and then the visible region, violet to red visible region, that is also electromagnetic radiation. Then we have got ultraviolet, then X-ray, and then we have got gamma ray also. So the gamma ray is the highest energy in the electromagnetic spectrum. It has got energy MeV. So here you can, it's worth remembering one thing, in the visible region the energy is in EV, it is in EV. If you remember, for hydrogen atom, the excitation energy, ionization energy will be 13.6 EV. So it will be in EV. When you go to X-ray region, it will be in KeV, and when you go to gamma ray region, it is MeV. And in hadron collision, the energy is in GeV, and in cosmic radiation it is all in GeV and more than that. So just to know the idea, I am just telling you about energy will be in MeV. Since the energy is in MeV, the wavelength will be in Fermi. Here we have 100 Fermis, 10 power minus 15 meter. So that will be the wavelength, because when the wavelength is small, energy is large, or when the energy is large, wavelength is small. Therefore we get about 100 Fermi. And this gamma particle, gamma ray, a gamma photon, it is not charged. It is like a electromagnetic photon. So it is not charged. Therefore ionization will be less. See, if we take beta particle, it is a charged, negatively charged particle. So when it enters maybe the atmosphere, it has, because it has got charge, it will be ionizing some particle. It will attract one positive charge particle. Therefore, ionization will take place. Gamma ray is a chargeless particle, therefore ionization will be less. When it passes through the atmosphere, ionization will be less. So, what is the origin of gamma ray? So, it is from within the nucleus. We get gamma radiation from within the nucleus. Alpha and beta decay. So, we have got alpha decay occurring. So, the alpha particle is emitted. The parent, we have got the parent nucleus and daughter nucleus. Sometimes when the alpha particle is emitted, it will be emitted from ground state of the parent to ground state of the daughter, then there is no extra radiation. Some cases the transition will be from excited from the excited state of parent, and it may come to one of the excited states of daughter. So, the daughter nucleus is excited after the alpha emission, therefore, it will de-excite. So, it will de-excite by emission of gamma ray. So, the extra energy that it obtained after alpha decay or beta decay, when the daughter is in excited state, it will de-excite, that is come to ground state by gamma emission. So, alpha and beta decay leaves daughter in excited states. The daughter excites by gamma decay. Gamma ray radiation is an electromagnetic radiation. So, we have got periodic fluctuation. Charge will be fluctuating. Inside the nucleus, we have got the positive charge, protons. That may be fluctuating. It will be inside fluctuating. When it is fluctuating, it will produce gamma ray, because that fluctuation when the charges are fluctuating, it is called electric fluctuation. When there is a fluctuation, there is a magnetic field produced, and so we get electromagnetic radiation. Similarly, the proton is also orbiting. It is orbiting inside the nucleus, orbits. So, when it is orbiting, it is like a current moving in a circular path. It will produce magnetic field. So, that current distribution inside, that is actually magnetic, it is producing magnetic field. That magnetic field induces current, induces electrical charges. Therefore, we get the electromagnetic radiation coming out. So, therefore, there are two things. One, the charge is fluctuating, producing magnetic field, or the charge is circulating with the magnetic field, producing electric field. As a result, we get electromagnetic radiation. So, the periodic fluctuations of charge and current distribution inside the nucleus causes gamma distribution, that is gamma emission distribution or gamma emission. So, the charge distribution gives electric moments. We have got electric dipole moment, all that. So, the charge distribution gives electric moments, and the current distribution gives magnetic moments. So, that two lines we have just written here. The charge distribution leads to electric moments, and the current distribution leads to magnetic moments. Where do you get charge distribution? It is because of the proton inside, which are oscillating, vibration. And the same proton, if it is moving in a circular path, it will produce magnetic field, that is current. It will have a current distribution. So, you got electric movement and magnetic movement. Therefore, gamma emission can be classified as electric E and magnetic M. So, when you say both are electromagnetic radiation. When you say electric E, the origin is this one, charge distribution. When you say magnetic, the origin is current distribution. So, both will lead to electromagnetic radiation, which is a gamma ray. So, the angular momentum carried by the gamma will be L. Gamma particle which comes out will carry some angular momentum. And what will be that angular momentum L? That will be the difference of the nuclear spin of the parent and the nuclear spin of the daughter, the difference. The L carried will be Jf minus Ji. What is that F? F refers to final state, that is daughter. I refers to initial state, which is the parent. So, the final minus initial, that is the parent, we get the daughter minus the parent. And the J refers to the nuclear spin or the total angular momentum. Total angular momentum of the daughter, total angular momentum of the parent. Whatever it is, the difference is L, which is carried by the gamma particle. So we are writing modulus because we are not worried about the sign. It is only the angular momentum, the modulus, we require only the magnitude. Now when the gamma which comes out, it will carry the multipolarity of radiation is equal to 2 power L. This is L is the angular momentum carried, and 2 power L we call it as multipolarity. Multipolarity, that is how many poles it has got. It will be having 2 power L poles. Here suppose L equal to 0, it will be 2 power 0 which is 1. Multipolarity will be 1. Suppose it is L equal to 1, 2 power 1, multipolarity will be 2. So we will come to that, we will spell out that. So that is what for L equal to 0, the number of poles equal to 2 power 0, that is 1, we call it as monopole radiation. It is a monopole gamma radiation. When L equal to 1, so it is 2 power 1, it is called dipole, 2 power 1, that is 2, dipole radiation. When you put L equal to 2, that is 2 power 2, which is 4. So because it is 4, we call it as quadrupole radiation. Now when L equal to 3, it will have 2 power 3 is 8, so it is called octupole radiation. And when L equal to 4, it will have 2 power 4 equal to 16. So the 16 we call it as hexadecapole radiation, hexadecapole. And you can just remember like hexadecimal number is 16. So 2 power 4 is 16, therefore it is termed as hexadecapole. After that we don't go further, because here as we go down, as L increases, the probability is smaller, therefore we just stop here. Accordingly, already we said about the electric radiation and magnetic radiation. So here we call it as EL radiation and ML radiation, that is electric radiation with angular momentum L, magnetic radiation with angular momentum L are the types of gamma radiation, EL and ML. So for example, if we say E2, in a journal you find E2 radiation, it means E2 is denotes, 2 denotes already we said, 2 denotes quadrupole. So E2 denotes electric quadrupole, and M1, M refers to dipole. So M1 denotes magnetic dipole. So remember, both are only electromagnetic radiation, it is only the origin. The origin is E, that is electrical fluctuation. Here the current fluctuation causes, but the outcome is same, both are electromagnetic radiations. What are the selection rules for gamma decay? Selection rule. So when do you get a gamma particle coming out from a nucleus? So the selection rules, the energy H nu is equal to E2 minus E1. So we have got the parent energy level E2, daughter energy level E1. This is parent energy level, daughter energy level. So if the transition is from this parent to daughter and it has got energy, suppose I have got energy maybe 2 MeV, this level, and this level is 1 MeV. So 2 minus 1, 1 MeV. So the energy will be the gamma ray which comes out will have the difference in energy between these two levels. That is only conservation of energy. Now number 2, gamma particle is chargeless, and therefore the initial and the final states have same charge. What is the initial state and final state? That is we are talking about the parent and daughter. We should have same charge. So if it is having same charge, it is same Z, which means it is the same nucleus. So the gamma radiation is possible only within the same nucleus. And number 3, gamma particle carries L equal to Jf minus Ja. Already we stated the angular momentum carried will be the difference in angular momentum of parent and daughter. So that will be the L carried. Therefore, for a given L, there can be electric radiation or magnetic radiation, but not both, because it is only the origin. Because of electrical fluctuation, we get electric radiation. If it is due to the current distribution, we get magnetic. So it can be inside a nucleus, it can be either this or that. Therefore, for a given L, there can be electric radiation or magnetic radiation, but not both. Origin cannot be two origins, so not both. If EL is allowed, ML is forbidden for a given L. That is, if M1 is allowed, E1 is not allowed. If M2 is allowed, E2 is not allowed. So gamma is a photon with S equal to 1. Therefore, what will be the delta J between the parent and daughter? Delta J is equal to L, must be greater than or equal to 1. So, if it is S equal to 1, I will be getting, it corresponds to, because gamma is a photon and it is a boson, therefore S equal to 1. When S equal to 1, it should carry at least S equal to 1. Therefore, the minimum is L equal to 1. L equal to 0 is not possible. Therefore, when you say L equal to 0, it is 2 power 0, which is 1 monopole. Therefore, monopole radiation is forbidden, because the gamma particle should have a minimum value of L equal to 1, because it is a boson. So, we can understand why monopole radiation is not allowed. That is why we talk about dipole antenna. We do not talk about monopole antenna in our TV stations, other thing. Dipole antenna we get. After dipole, octopole, hexadecapole, those are all very low probability. So, the highest probability is dipole. Monopole is forbidden. Therefore, the first one is dipole. Now, we will just talk about pair production. So, when high energy gamma hits a metal foil or any nucleus, we got gamma ray of high energy, it is hitting a metal foil. Just assume it is hitting a metal foil. That energy will be converted to two particles, E plus and E minus. So, the E plus, the particle and the antiparticle and particle are simultaneously produced. So, this is called pair production. We have got photon becoming E plus and E minus, one electron, one positron and one electron. This is called pair production. Now, when you talk about spin, whether the spin is conserved, already we know that photon has got spin 1 and this positron has got half and this electron has got half. Therefore, the spin is conserved 1, this is half and half. So, the right hand side and left hand side we got same spin. So, when you go to charge, the photon is chargeless and here we get plus 1 and minus 1. The two charges vanish, plus 1 and minus 1. So, as far as energy is concerned, this energy of a photon is h nu and it produces two particles of rest mass me c squared and me c squared. So, the electron rest mass is me into c squared. So, according to Einstein relation, E equal to mc squared. So, that energy is mc squared mc squared. Therefore, h nu is equal to 2 me c squared. That is the minimum condition. So, the energy must be at least greater than 2 me c squared. Only then pair production is possible. If the energy is smaller, it cannot produce two particles. The energy must be at least equal to twice the rest mass of electron, corresponding to twice the rest mass of electron. This is the energy. Therefore, h nu must be greater than or equal to, if we calculate for me, it is about for mass of electron in MeV, if you take, it will be about 0.5, slightly more than 0.5 MeV. So, 2 times. So, we get about 1 MeV, 1.02 MeV to be specific. We get this. So, this is the energy. So, if a gamma ray is having energy 1 MeV, pair production is not possible. If it is having 1.02 MeV, pair production is just possible. If it is having larger than that, then the pair will be produced and also it can come out with the large velocity. So, that is the condition for pair production. So, these are called hard gamma rays. So, because what is the gamma ray energy is greater than 0.02, it is called hard gamma rays. Similarly, we have got pair annihilation. So, very similar to what we have pair production, we have got pair annihilation also. When fast moving positron and electron collide and coalesce. So, they collide and come together, that is coalesce. What will happen is charges vanish, plus E plus and E minus, charges will vanish, masses will vanish and gamma photon is created. This is pair annihilation. So, we were able to produce from two particles, produce energy, E plus and E minus, they coalesce, charges vanish and masses vanish. So, just for you to remember, I am just telling, suppose take a battery, we got positive and negative. Suppose I take the wire, put both of them together, that's all. The battery positive and negative will vanish, and what you are getting will be fire, maybe energy. So it's like pair annihilation. The positive and negative which are separated, they coalesce, the charges will vanish, and we get energy. So here it is all in electron and positron we are talking about. So the energy created will be in the photon. Just for similarity, for you to remember, I said about the battery. Now we have got E plus and E minus. So the E plus and E minus becomes a photon. So here we will see how the charges are conserved. The spin is plus half. Here it is half for positron and electron half, and for photon 1. So spin is conserved, and we will see whether the charge is conserved. Charge positron plus 1, electron minus 1, so they vanish, they become 0. The photon, gamma ray photon, has got charge 0. Energy, this is MEC squared and this is MEC squared. So the total energy, we are instead of writing 2, I have just written 1. So 2 MEC squared is equal to h nu, becomes h nu. The proton mass, this is the energy already we said about the previous one we have said. See, the energy is for pair production, it is about 1.02 MeV. 1 MeV, just remember as 1 MeV. So for pair production of electron and positron, energy required is 1 MeV. So when they vanish, what will be the energy you get? About 1.02 MeV. Because when they vanish, the same energy is got 1.02 MeV or more than that. Okay. Now we will come to something slightly different. Suppose I take, instead of colliding E plus and E minus, suppose I take proton and antiproton, P plus and P minus. So suppose they collide, what will be the energy release? Say the proton mass is about 2000 times that of electron, 2000 times. To be more specific, it is 1836 times mass of the electron. That is, the proton is heavier by about 2000 times. Therefore, the energy instead of 1 MeV, it will be about 2000 MeV. So for electron positron pair production or pair annihilate, when they annihilate, we get energy about 1 MeV. When proton and antiproton annihilate, we get energy 2000 times, 2000 MeV. And when you say 2000 MeV, it is 2 GeV. This is MeV 10 power 6. So it will be 2 GeV. G is 10 power 9. So you get a GeV. That is what we had in the hadron collision. In the CERN experiment, we had the hadron collision where the protons collide. And there, to make the collision energetically possible, because we require large energy, so through distance of more about 20 to more than 20 kilometers distance, proton was accelerated and then they collided, and that is hadron collision, which gave energy of GeV or even more than that. That's what they said about the God's particle and all that. We are not going into that. We are just telling about the that is also pair annihilation, where the masses vanish and energy is created in the order of GeV. Now we will just go to the next topic on nuclear gamma decay. Related phenomena, we got what is called nuclear isomerism. See, isomers, what are isomers? Isomers have same A and Z, but different lifetimes of decay. So the same nucleus, but having two different lifetimes. So normally if you take a cobalt 60 beta minus decay, source of beta minus particle, so it will come out with 1 half life. If you take maybe tellurium, some other element, it will come out only with 1 half life. But there are some elements which, some isotopes, which have got same A and Z but different lifetimes. So they are called isomers. Why they get two different lifetimes? The T half is different because of the two different energy levels. We get two different energy levels. We have got ground state, excited state. If you have got ground state and excited state, only 1 half life. If you have got ground state, excited state and metastable state, then we will get 2 half lives. Because of the existence of metastable state, we get the two different energy levels, two different half-lives. So, the existence of metastable state I can remember as isomer, that M refers to for the metastable state. So, when it has got metastable state, they are called isomers. So, now one example will be bromine. Bromine is a isomer. One isotope of bromine is isomer. So, bromine has two isotopes, bromine 79 and bromine 81. There are two isotopes of bromine. Now, we will just see how do you get this isomerism. So, that bromine has got atomic number 35, mass number 79. So, if you bombard with the neutron, you will be getting 3580 because this neutron will get embedded. So, you will be getting 3580. This bromine 3580 is an isomer, which means it will exhibit two different lifetime of decay. This bromine 35 is an isomer, we said. See, this 35 has become 36, mass number is remaining same. So, it is by beta minus emission. By beta minus emission, you remember 35, Z is 35 and atomic number has increased by 1 unit. So, it must be beta minus emission. So, here T of this bromine becomes krypton and two different lifetimes, T1 equal to 18 minutes and T2 equal to 4.5 hours. So, we have got this excited state, metastable state, ground state. So, we have got this beta particle emitted by T2, this is by T1. Bromine 81, if we bombard with the neutron, we will get 82. That will give you again krypton with 6.4 minutes. Why you are talking about 82? So, already we stated it has got two isotopes, 79 and 81. So, when you bombard neutron with 79 and 81, 79 gives 80 which is an isomer and this one will become 82 which is not an isomer, 6.4. Therefore, you will be having two different lifetimes. So, we will be continuing with this later. Now, we will just summarize. So, we have discussed the origin of gamma rays and the selection rules for gamma ray. So, we have defined pair production and pair annihilation and about also hadrons, hadron collision. So, we explained nuclear isomerism with an example. So, we will be continuing with the nuclear isomerism in more detail. So, we will have some questions for the day. So, what are electric and magnetic radiation? So, give the selection rules for gamma decay. Explain why monopole radiation is not possible. Explain pair production and pair annihilation. What are isomers? With the energy level diagram, explain isomerism of bromine. So, we shall be continuing. Thank you.